Gonna be darker, and some of these are gonna be getting black on top of them. And like pretty much once I'm done, I'm gonna kind of go in and fill in with the chartreuse. But I'm not gonna walk through all this. I'll do like each color. I'll show you kind of the start of each color. And of course, if you do like decide you want to try this, I've got my Grinch posted as well. So you could kind of look at it as a color reference guide, or the picture, like whatever picture you use. That's usually my #1 guide, is whatever picture it is that I use. It usually serves as the best guide. And you know, underglaze wise, it's not going to be perfect. And those of you who have done pottery for a while already have kind of accepted that fact that there isn't exact colors. It's not like, you know, acrylics where you can pick from 5 million different colors. We just don't have that luxury, unfortunately, but you can make it work with some blending. So it took me right at 20 minutes to do all the hunter green portions, just because I really wanted to take my time with it. You know, obviously I like to do a lot of like carving detail in my work. I like texture. And I do get a lot of compliments on the texture aspect of my pottery. If that's something that like you don't really like to do in your pottery, you know, obviously you can go through and brush all these hairs and things on, you know, just like you would on any painting that you're doing of something with hair. So, you know, there's always that option. Yeah, I'm a big old texture fan. Right now I'm going back through with my chartreuse in some places. And I thought this brush was going to be an okay size, but I do think I'm going to have to end up using a smaller one in most areas. But I'm going to go back through and like these areas that I wanted like definition, but that it's not as dark as like what the hunter green is. Basically, I'm trying to rectify that with a lighter green. So when it's fired, I mean, obviously it's not going to cover it completely, even though it looks like it does on here, but it should just give it like a different shade essentially, just like blending any types of color would. And, you know, if you're trying to blend something that's been placed already, so it's like really set in the clay, I'll do like, you know, the last layer, you know, whatever that color is I'm wanting to do, I'll do that kind of like on the thinner side. And then I'll dip my brush in water and kind of like lightly go over it. I mean, not to make it like sopping wet, but enough to where it's almost like you're diluting the color, like it's a watercolor or something. So once again, I'm not going to go through this entire process. But obviously referring to my previous picture about where I'm going to make lighter versus keep darker. So this is the side that I just kind of went over. So I don't know if you could tell there at the end, but I did that technique I was talking about as far as like watering down the color. So I did end up applying the chartreuse on mostly everything over here, just to, because a lot of times greens like really surprise you and they end up like firing way darker than you expect them to. Like I've had greens come out looking almost black. So I'm just trying to avoid that at all cost. So that was why I kind of did that, like, I'll call it like washing or something. That's basically what it was. Like I washed over it with chartreuse. prevent that. Right now I am doing my final details like for the face, which is adding the black into spots. And kind of like how the green was earlier, if you so choose, you could also go ahead and wax over all of this, you know, before you start the dark green. Like basically any of the outline places, you could wax over it. And then just carve out like the places that you want green. And then that way you can kind of the green really quick. And then after that, you'd go in and carve out the black places. And then that way you could over, you know, the black really quick. And add those details in. It's a lot quicker. I didn't show it here because I'm trying to show you how to do it, I guess, the slow way. But that's whatever you choose as well. So doing mostly like the eyes here. He's got like that, he's got guy liner, the Grinch does. And I know I had said earlier, like his nose is basically outlined in black to kind of show where like the nostrils are. And this just gives that extra depth. I mean, it's not really necessarily how things are. I like to add black, like some type of black, like detail outline to about everything I do though. Just to give it that extra layer and that definition. So referring to my mug and or, you know, you'd be referring to your picture for where you want to do your stuff darker. Under his lip was like a dark shadowed green, so I did do the green there, but I'm going back over it with black. And if you want it to be more of like a, you know, not quite so black, you could always go back in like I did earlier with the chartreuse, and you could like just dip your brush in water and just like, you know, almost thin it out where you've already painted it in. And all these are a little bit different, and I kind of did that on purpose. I didn't do the colors all the same because I'm trying to see really what's gonna work the best, which I'm not gonna know until they come out of the first firing. And that's definitely something that I can share, is like which one came out the best as far as color wise. So okay, so the last thing I'm showing for now is kind of like how I do the coloration of the hat. And in the picture, he's, you know, because his face is shadowed as well, so is his hat. So I basically like really watered down my brush, and I'm just using a tiny bit of black and keeping it really moist. Then I'm gonna go back over it with the white and kind of blend it. That's actually a little too diluted. I need a little bit darker than that. I'm not gonna show the painting of the hat in the background because I've got to start getting ready for work, and I want to be able to post this video sooner rather than later. But I don't think most people are watching for that part anyway. So this is my finished Grinch. I may end up going back over him with another layer of like the dark green on the outside of this one side of the face. And the eyes look kind of funny because I did actually add the little, you know, glimmer in the eye. So kind of the same thing for the white though, because the clay is white. So when I use white, I don't use a ton because it's going to show through white in places anyways. And with like the glimmer in the eye, you could have just like kind of carved out those spaces and not added anything because that white would show through regardless. And then if you decide to clear glaze later, it would make it shiny. So it wouldn't just be like raw clay shining through. Whatever you fancy. So kind of almost like mixing this to make a gray. I spent a lot of money on my my pottery supplies, and gray is one of those colors that you can just mix really easy using white and black. So rather than buy a gray, I just do that. I would do it with more if I could. So you can kind of see the difference where it's going to be. But yeah, that's all I'm going to show for right now. So the next video will be like the finished, not finished, but bisque fired. And then I'll kind of like show what I do to get it more of the color that I want it to, because it's going to darken up even more after bisque firing. So if it comes out really dark during bisque. Oh, the other thing, I will paint the mouth right there rose. I just haven't done it yet. It's usually the last thing I add because it takes like 2 seconds. But you can tell on here too well. The background is what like really brings this to life too. The color. So you can see right now it just kind of looks lackluster. Alrighty. Thank you for watching.